being attacked by pests and diseases. In other words, you don't need those chemicals in the first place if you address proper nutrition.
Right, right. So what I'm hearing is using nutrition as like a strategy, right? To
Yes.
strengthen the plants, and so they're more resilient to pests and diseases, plants, pests and disease, and the better you do it, then the less you need to use either the insecticides, the herbicides, fungicides, and growth regulators. Yeah. So in our test, coming back to our test, why insecticide free and pesticide free, it's really because we had tested for 232 active ingredients, and it's included the whole coverage of all these chemicals, regulators. So that's why we've put out ourselves as pesticide free. But what you've brought on is the next question. So the next question is, how did we become pesticide free, right? And then you're leading on to saying nutrition. So bring us on that journey. You know, it's really exciting. This how are we doing it, right? I was like, how are you doing it? Then we say it's from Steve's protocols, and they're like, yeah, what's that? You know, what's the principle behind it, and how do we do it? Yeah.
Well, it's certainly not a hit and miss approach. And I think at some stage you'll want me to address the difference between pesticide free and what you're doing and organics. Organics generally don't follow any guidelines. It's more of a natural system that can vary from farm to farm. They don't do a lot of testing, if at all, and so it can be hit and miss. But what we do in biological farming or nutrition farming to achieve these nutrient-dense foods without the use of pesticides. In other words, we've actually designed our nutrition programs so that the plants are strong enough to avoid any of those pest and disease issues. So we start from the ground, from the soil up, and we take a soil test and we balance those minerals, because essentially 75 to 80% of the success rate when you're looking at biological farming and looking to become pesticide free relates to how fertile your soil is, inherently fertile, and what sort of quality soil you have. You cannot grow high quality produce without the use of pesticides on poor soil. It's exactly the same as trying to run a marathon eating junk food. You just can't do it. Your body needs proper nutrition, and so do plants.
So looping back to what you introduced us regarding natural agriculture, right? It's about minerals, right? And then the microbes and the matter, right? So this is, I've been listening, I've been writing notes. So that's where you was introducing regarding the person who knows about plants and soil, right at the start as well. So now I'm making those connections. So I'm understanding it now. So essentially it's design. It's design, understanding these scientific principles of what is required of having a healthy plant, and then therefore growing the food that Pinkett wants to bring to the marketplace. So wow. So how then does Pinkett then now be able to grow so many different types of crops, and based on the protocols that you've kindly written for the farm, Pinkett, so how did you and Steve work together, and how many years did you do that? Maybe just share a little glimpse of what did it take, right? Today we've got 20. How many acres have we got, Pinkat?
So we have 20 acres of kind of growing area, and we are working with a variety of crops. I think when I first met Steve, basically from an intention of trying to grow food organically, with whatever system that we have had set up in the farm, I think the whole new world had opened up for us, and initially when we go into farming, the only thing we know what to do is probably find a good growing system or grow organic farming. But then with the knowledge of biological farming, or nutrition farming, a lot more can be done. So and then that began our journey of working with Steve and trying to understand the knowledge that Steve has, and working with us and supporting us in our journey. So of course we're still at very early stages because there's still lots to be done in the farm. But back to the question of how we can grow so many crops is basically through trial and error initially, to essentially trying to pair certain varieties to growing systems, growing methods, and understanding the environment, which went through a whole rounds of series of iterations, trial and trialing, and then eventually finding certain varieties that work well, that require less management, more resilient. So we get a match. From then, with a match, there's a lot more we can do in optimizing the quality of these crops, and that's when we then work with Steve on getting protocols in, also looking at options and what's available in our region to achieve that objective. Yeah, so that's a lot. So that's how we've got into this collaborative working way, and we are still learning, and so much. And also, I think through the so many years of working, we developed some sort of flow in the farm. So everyone have gone into a flow because it is what it is. We had kept consistent in our ideology and our commitment to growing safe food, good and safe food. So that flow has benefited us, and also I think in some ways the way that we had set up the farm to be on a lower footprint helped us. So the intensity of the pest and disease situation was probably more manageable, as opposed to being in a very high footprint populated kind of growing environment. So I think some of these are what we have probably achieved. So it was a little bit like adaptive farming, adapting to what we have, at the same time trying to learn from people with deep knowledge like Steve, who could support us and then provide us the science behind certain things, right? Because we may have done something well, or we've done something that works, but we may not understand or what we had done. So that's so from the science input from Steve, we then could understand, oh, okay, that was why it was working for us.
Yeah, it was a challenge, like it is in many countries in Asia. I came from Australia with concepts and theories and products that weren't available in your country, and that's where it became a little slow and sort of testing. We're recording here. Sorry, I'll start again. Coming home. Yeah, the part of the challenge was that coming from Australia, I was familiar with certain products and protocols that worked here. But when you come to Malaysia, the products aren't there, or they're very expensive, and that would obviously slow the progress down a bit. We had to modify protocols, or we had to find substitutes for products. But eventually, I think Penket found quite a few good products to use, and the products are important. The concepts are base philosophies that work pretty much on any crop and on any soil. But the products that you need to make it work are also important, but you can find, and I think that's one of the benefits of permaculture, you can find alternatives, or you can go to a more natural process, products made on farm perhaps, and certainly utilising local diversity.
This is really exciting, because we're just really at the beginning, aren't we? Because maybe the first decade, and you yourself, having to transition, after 25 years into regenerative agriculture, right? Adaptive is actually regenerative, right? And now you're saying, oh, there's still much more that we can actually discover through just being open to permaculture principles. So I think it's sometimes we forget, right? A lot of people have said to us, oh, what have you done in one whole decade? You took one whole decade, but it's like one whole decade of discovery, and it's most, what Penket is telling me, iterations and and trial and error. It's not very long actually in the whole context of agriculture. And chemical agriculture, if you think about it, right? How long do you think the world has practiced chemical agriculture?
Less than 100 years.
That's right.
Less than
100 years, and now we're hitting this situation, right? And the Anthropocene and all that. And then we've kind of reversed it in the last decade, right? 10 years out of 100 years, and having to re-educate everyone again, right, regarding this. But we couldn't use the agriculture practices of 100 years ago, because it won't be enough. We're going to hit the world at 9 billion of population in 2030. So the Kind Grow is kind of going towards that, and see how we can accelerate that. And where Penket has said that, we might be able to do it, we don't understand the science. If we have the science, if you can explain it so well and teach it so well, and then we can keep constantly adapting this, there's no stopping us from bringing everyone back to regenerative agriculture, actually, and pesticide-free, safe food for our team members. We're moving on calling them labor or workers. They've actually become family, right? Penket, how many people are on the farm right now, and how long have they been with us?
Yeah, okay, so at the end of the day, I think if you ask me what kind of business we are in, I think we are in the business of nurturing and managing growth, and that's really what we do, so a lot of our to be a good grower, it's a two-way process, or even a three-way process, of really understanding what's good for us. Like nutrition is definitely needed by us, and then at the same time understanding what we grow and the different nutritional needs, environmental needs, or that these crops that we grow require, right? And so that's very similar with the people that we work with. So the growers, the growers that we nurture in the farm, so they have deep understanding of the farm, and a lot of this understanding cannot be described or explained to anyone. If someone asks me, hey, how do you do it, right? Just to a certain extent, we can explain our processes, but I think it's really down to the growers having this sixth sense, or this feeling of walking into a greenhouse or in a field, and then instantly understanding what's wrong or what's right. So that's why I think that made the whole process of growing interesting, and also with this diversity that we have, so many crops. We've got good people that have been working with us from day one, so it's coming to more than 10 years of commitment, and then we have staff from Nepal, India, and they have actually initiated the process of bringing in their children to learn from us. So there's so we have second generation young growers who are now working with their fathers in the farm. Yeah.